Is this thing on? Hello, everyone. My name is Lewis Harris, and welcome to the Record in Progress podcast, my new endeavor that was inspired by the results of the 2024 presidential election and really the whole election because major changes were across the board. But I just felt that I didn't do enough in the election, so I made this podcast for Record in Progress. And I'm hoping that the podcast can help illuminate different perspectives, stories, and narratives to hopefully create understanding amongst different people in our country and in our world with the hopes of it creating a more unified society in the future. So I am privileged to have my first guest, who is a friend of mine who I've served with in the community. And we have a structured format for the questions for this episode. And so I'm going to start by asking my guest, what is your name?
My name's Carston.
Excellent. Carston. And how do you identify yourself?
I am just your standard cookie cutter man walking around
Okay.
using man restrooms.
Excellent. Excellent.
Not-
Very good. Okay. And so the next question is what state and city do you live in?
I live in the
Describe it.
greater Seattle area. Yeah,
Excellent. Washington State.
absolutely. In the United States of America,
Yeah,
the contiguous part.
I think
Yeah.
the contiguous part. Yeah. Well, I haven't, the scope is not further than that at this time. But thank
Not
you for
going
that
after
clarification.
Alaskans here.
Yeah. Is that contingent? Oh yeah, I guess it's not. I got it because it's flip side. Got it. Okay. I don't know all the things. That's the one thing you'll probably learn from me, at least in this podcast. But I don't know all the things, which is part of the reason why I created this. So, Carston, what do you do?
I do lots of stuff. I'm an activist. I volunteer. I sign wave. I vote. Lots of
Excellent.
different things.
What do you do? Do you do anything for fun, or are there any
Oh,
like?
absolutely. Washington has a lot of great national parks and forests and hiking trails. I like to explore those, do some camping, lots of fishing.
Excellent. That is
Breathing clean air and drinking clean water, also big hobbies of mine.
well. We can't always take those things for granted, as you know. So, but thank you for illuminating who you are a bit more. The next question is, and this is a question because most of us, a lot of us just in the world, we categorize ourselves based on the work we do or, the jobs that we have. And so the next question is, what is a credential that you use most often to sell yourself on job applications?
Fast learner,
Fast learner. Excellent. Okay. Okay.
super quick.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Fast learner and quick to the point. That's great. Okay. All right. So the next question is, how did you vote in the 2024 presidential election?
I abstained from the presidential question.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Did you vote locally though?
I did. Absolutely.
Okay. So your vote was specifically not voting nationally, but voting locally.
Yes.
Can can you just illuminate for us just why
I
you
didn't
stand?
feel that I could vote for either of the major two candidates in good conscience.
Okay. So given that, what are three feelings you have about the results of the 2024 presidential election?
I was pretty surprised. I had a pretty good feeling that it was going to go differently. I'm a little excited. It's never a dull moment with Trump saying all sorts of weird stuff. And I'm a little concerned as well because some things that he's said and done have been concerning. So that as well.
Excellent. The next question is, what do you fear most about the next Trump presidency?
I think that a part of his mass deportation exercises, I think that it's just going to involve a lot of more checkpoints. Secure locations give me anxiety.
Okay, so when you're saying checkpoints, you're talking about some of the speculation around them building internment camp type things. Is that what you're talking about?
No, like DUI checkpoints, like
Okay,
immigration
okay.
checkpoints. Yeah. And if you don't have papers, you get taken off, taken places. That's my biggest fear. I'm not a very fearful person. It's difficult
Okay.
for me to come up with fears.
Okay. What do you hope? So, the last question, what you fear most, what do you hope most about the next Trump presidency?
That it isn't as bad as people have predicted.
Anything specific?
The internment camps, some people predict those. Other people have predicted, mass inflation that we've never seen before from all these different tax, not excise tax, the other one,
Tariffs.
tariffs. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where that goes if it really increases inflation and if it even happens, you know? He says a lot of things and he doesn't always act on what he says.
Right. Okay. So the next question is, what do you believe about the people who voted opposite of you?
I feel great. As long as if you vote, that's great. If you don't vote, then I don't know how you've spent your election day, just sitting eating chips, but that's cool too.
But yes. Okay. So you don't, so is it fair to say, just as a follow-up to this question, that you believe that exercising your vote, regardless of if it's in the national election or local election, like that's what people should be doing. And if you didn't vote, then you're wondering what exactly about that person.
I understand that people have different reasons for voting and not voting, but I encourage people to vote. Yes. It's important.
Okay. So the next question is, what is the worst thing about society to you?
Homelessness.
Okay. Do you want to expand
We
on that?
we could definitely house people when society chooses not to. So that's the worst thing about society.
It's specifically society doesn't choose to always house people.
Yes.
And, we live in the relatively same greater Seattle metropolitan area. So we know a lot of the same issues, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so the, and a part of this election, because we do live in a liberal state, right, is a referendum on some of our approaches on homelessness, right? Would you say that that's a fair assessment?
I'm not sure
Um, huh?
that we have a referendum on that.
No, like the election results, because they mostly went in the Republican direction, is a reaction to some of the Democratic policies, including our approaches to homelessness. You're
Democratic cities do have an interesting and not completely taken care of homelessness issue.
do you feel
Especially
like we
you're saying in Washington, we're mostly Democratic, we're blue state. And so Democrats really could have thrived here addressing homelessness, and they haven't.
so say that what so I would love you to expand on that more. What haven't how haven't they thrived? What's your
Well,
what are
you
the
can
things
see
that
the
you point to?
evidence around, right? You see the tents and the homeless people, and I worked at Big Lots for a little while, and there were people under there every morning outside of Big Lots. I mean, not me personally, but my coworkers. I'm not saying that awnings are not where homeless people shouldn't be under awnings. They should be in houses or apartments or some complex living situation.
No, I hear you and I agree. So you specifically in some of the work you've done, you've seen the effects of homelessness and how pervasive it is in terms of where society, specifically our society, liberal Washington, believes homeless people should be and go. We kind of just have a lack of housing here. And until we get that housing, which, is not a quick process, we kind of just allow people to just sleep wherever they want. Right.
People have to sleep somewhere.
Right. So my next question is,
Just one more point on that.
please.
Hostile architecture, like they do in New York with the little peg and spike things places. Moving the homeless people is not going to solve the homelessness issue just because you can't see them and they're in dark alleys where people don't walk through very often. That doesn't do anything. You're just moving the problem. We don't need to make their lives harder. We need to solve the issue through housing. Thank you.
Absolutely. The next question is, what do you believe is one of the reasons that Trump and the largely Republic Congress was elected?
Well, we addressed one of those, homelessness. Also, I thought that it was pretty interesting that Harris was so aggressively pro fracking, while that we have seen so many ties from fracking and other, subterranean substrate processes ruining groundwater and just water in general. Yeah, that's a big one. I don't know if it was specifically a reason why Harris didn't come on top, but I think also martyring Trump with the felonies and then hammering him every single time that you could ever hammer him about his felonies might have had something to do with it. It kind of made his idea of the deep state doing the convicting him with the help of a jury. I'm sure that not all of the jurors were deep state. And I'm not even sure that I completely agree with the concept of a deep state. That he could blame the deep state and it was more believable because that people went after him was interesting.
Right. So, I mean, essentially, the other side, the Democratic side, validated much of what Republicans and Trump had been saying all along,
Yes.
right? And so
Kind of
it's
played
hard,
right
yeah.
into Trump's hand there.
Right. Okay. Do you feel like so given the outcome of the election, do you feel like you did enough to affect the election in the way you wanted to see it go?
I did not focus my time and attention on the presidential election this year or last year or the year before. And so I don't think anything that I did really affected it. I I don't know very many people who can say what they did affected it.
Right. I mean, that statement in and of itself is indicative of how the election went, right? Especially if, a large number of Democratic voters did not actually turn out, right? What do you want to say to the version of yourself 4 years down the road? Like, what would you say to the person 4 years?
I would probably your standard greeting, hi, hello, how you doing?
What would you
Sure.
say to yourself?
How you doing? How the kids?
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I don't have any kids, but in case that I did, I don't know.
Well, I mean, in 4 years, you very well could be have
Yeah,
kids.
probably, perhaps.
So maybe you're alluding to a hope of yours.
Sure. Sure, why not?
Okay. Okay.
Who
That's
doesn't
great.
who doesn't
So,
want kids?
huh?
Who doesn't want kids?
I mean, I do. I want kids too, but I hear what you're saying. So, do you feel like the Trump presidency will help you, will facilitate or will be conducive to you having kids in the next 4 years?
I feel more affected by local, state laws than whatever Trump can try to do. I I don't think that we were as impacted in Washington during Trump's first term as people in DC, and we don't live
Right.
in DC, so we're chill.
We're the other
We're
Washington
we're more
side.
chill than they are.
That's right.
Nothing against DC.
Yeah. Okay. And so, Carston, I've gotten through all of the questions that I kind of created for the podcast, but I want to give you an opportunity to talk on any sort of issues you as a American living where you are, identifying how you are, that you want to talk about. So what issues do you got?
Well, there's lots of issues out there, but I was hoping that we'd be able to take our own topic. I saw somebody else wanted to talk about, environment, and somebody else wanted to talk about something else. I'm pretty passionate about firearms. And so there's some laws in Washington, some laws federally.
Yeah, educate me.
Specifically, New York, just to start the conversation, New York has banned the purchase of body armor for anyone who isn't like law enforcement or security. And I think that that's crazy, especially all these parents who are concerned about their children and want to get armor for their backpacks as an American, not committing a felony, which is already illegal federally. In the commission of a felony, it's a double charge, or felons in the possession of body armor, it's a double charge. Yes.
Are there concerns that you had from this latest election cycle?
Sure, Washington could vote the same way. And they could make it broader sweeping. They could say anything that could possibly be used as body armor. That would be books, laptops, thick jackets.
So, so, so is your concern around body armor or is it around guns?
Body armor is a gun issue, right? Self defense, almost all of self defense has something to do around 2A.
So, why is self defense an issue for you politically?
Because I find it very important for me to be able to preserve myself.
And where do you feel like the need to preserve yourself comes from?
I really enjoy being alive, and I'd like to continue that if possible.
So, sure, you're kind of picking up on like I'm trying to get to the heart of some of the reasons why that's the issue for you, right? And sure, everybody wants to be alive, but some people don't actually feel like they need to defend themselves because they feel like they're safe in society. So I'm
Okay.
just trying to understand self defense is important for you because of concerns around homelessness and like people doing crazy things on the street and you want to like be able to protect yourself. Are you worried about lone wolf shooter types that shoot schools up and want to be able to protect children? Like, what is it for you?
Well, the whole continuum, if I,
All of it.
walking down the street and somebody wants something I have, or, just wants to be aggressive towards me, having the right to the continuum of force that we reasonably have as Americans is important. If that's a shooter, a lone wolf shooter, as you said, even if in schools, it would be great to be able to go in there after you hear gunfire as a civilian, handle that threat, end it, and come out and not get crucified in the court system. In Texas, they have a pretrial shutdown thing where if it's reasonable enough that the judge says, this doesn't need to go to trial, they can do that.
So you're saying that in Texas they have a process. I think is it the arraignment process where the judge determines whether it's severe enough to go to trial. Is that what you're talking about?
Uh,
So are you saying that people who exercise their right to protection, to self-preservation, self-protection using firearms, which are allowed as per our constitution, should not be prosecuted unfairly or in the court system? Is that kind of honing in on what you're talking about there a little bit? Or
I was more saying that if it's clear self-defense, that you should not be crucified or aggressively litigated against in the court system.
so I mean, a summation is that you do want to make sure that you're safe in your community, and
Absolutely.
you get a sense of safety from not only guns, but protection from guns.
Absolutely.
Okay, okay, okay. Um, is there a why, or is there like a something that happens? Sorry, I'm like trying to pull out the nuggets. You know what I mean from the ether. So do you feel like why are you in fear?
Having the knowledge and the tools and the freedoms to act and be how I want to act and be, it's kind of instead of fear. So because I'm able to wear armor and go, have tools that are necessary, that I feel are necessary or otherwise, justified in areas that I'm able to legally do legal activities, that instead of being afraid.
I see. Do you feel like America is generally safe?
Sure.
I get it.
Okay.
There's a shred of you that does not want people to know anything about how you protect yourself or if you do protect yourself so that you can be ready, boys. In conclusion, we are all different, but we are all also the same, right? Whether it's the issues, whether it's our perspective on life in general, whether it's, how we breathe, either through our nostrils or through our mouth. Like there's things that are the same about many of us and things are different. And what matters is we recognize that those differences and those similarities, and we move forward to create a better world for all of us. So thank you, Carston, for taking the time to be my first guest.
Thank you.
I appreciate your patience and your answers. And I am going to have a good time stitching this podcast, this first episode. And so I look to sharing it with you and hopefully having you on in the future.
Fantastic.